and my son are grocery shopping, so I am in the parking lot. I have no idea how long I'll be able to stream here, but I figured why not? It was either this or play a game of chess. So this might be 3 minutes, it might be 30 minutes. I don't know, but I hope you all are having a great day. Our plan, we were going to go out in the boat today, but it looks like rain here, so I think maybe we'll stay indoors, but it should still be a fun family day for me. Probably won't be streaming later this evening, but yeah, I put some shorts up on YouTube and also on X, so I hope people check those out. I had people in the comments saying, hey, you should do more YouTube shorts. I don't know what it is about YouTube. Well, I have an idea what it is about YouTube, but I get no interaction on my shorts. If I do a 1-minute video that would be a short and put it up as a regular video, I might get 100, 200 views. If I put it up as a short, I get 11 views, 12. So I'm sure I'm on some sort of list to make sure that unless people are following me, they aren't getting notified. And even if you are following me, you're probably not getting notified. But nonetheless, if you're ever bored, just check out. I'm trying to put material up there, shorter videos on YouTube and other platforms. So check it out. I thought it was funny. A lot of the videos I put up, I love the comments. Someone said on the one TikTok I put up, that's the same as the short I put up. They said, classic Trump supporter. Unkempt and uneducated. And I thought, unkempt is fair. Look at this beard. That's unkempt. I agree, I need a haircut. By the way, my whole life, you see how this mustache connects here? Look how much thinner it is on this side. I don't know how to fix that. Yeah. So unkempt is fair. Uneducated, well, that depends. I always love this line of attack. Isn't this a fun line of attack? Republicans or Trump supporters are less educated. Well, define educated. Without going into my educational background, I think that 99% of the left-wingers that I ever debate, I make look entirely foolish. So if I'm so uneducated and stupid, how come anytime I debate one of these people, I crush them? Seems to be question one. Point two is, I actually have a master's degree, which I would argue probably made me dumber. Because most of the education that you get at universities now is DEI bullshit. And lastly, I always think this attack's funny because if we're going to use lesser educated as sort of a euphemism for dumb, and therefore we shouldn't take their, opinions on things, well, how far are we willing to go with this? Are we going racially with this? For example, if I say there are certain groups that racially are less likely to have higher education, does that mean we're less likely to trust them? And if those racial groups predominantly vote, say, Democrat, does that mean that that's some sort of attack? Oh, that would be racist to say that, right? If I would say, well, black people are less educated and they vote for Democrats at 80 to 90%, so of course that would be deemed racist. By the way, I wouldn't say that because I don't think that your education level is indicative of your intelligence level. Some of the smartest people I know barely graduated high school. They might not be book smart, but as soon as my car breaks down and I'm standing there like a moron, they know how to fix it. They know how to run the electric into my house. They know how to build a roof, right? I'd like to see how well these educated Joe Biden voters that are mocking me for apparently being uneducated would say. Also, I love how most of the time people don't even address the points that you're making. And of course, this is something that they're used to because of their control of the narrative, because almost every institution has been dominated by lip service to the Democratic Party and the establishment narratives. It allows them to just default to those narratives, and they never actually have to address the real points you're making. So the one short I put out today, and if you followed my last 2 live streams, it's stuff that you've heard me saying, but the one short I put out was how they're trying to gaslight you that, oh, okay, well, sure, Trump won the debate optically, but when it comes to truth-telling, that's where Biden dominated. Biden lied worse than Trump, right? There are multiple kinds of lies. When I was on Wick's stream, he tried to play this shit too, like, oh, the people that said that that Biden tried to assassinate Trump. Now, I don't agree that those were good statements, as I said at the time, but I understood where people were getting it. They felt that if the president put a provision that his opponent could be raided, and there was a provision in for use of deadly force, that was tantamount to an assassination attempt because it was trying to escalate a situation that would require lethal use of force. I think that was wrong for 2 reasons. One, even if that use of force was there, that's still not tantamount to an assassination attempt, even if it's bad. Secondly, that's language that's put in just about every warrant. So although I agree the warrant itself was erroneous and terrible, and I've argued that from the first place, once the warrant was going to be in existence, I think it's a mistake to say, this warrant used the same language as every other FBI warrant, therefore, I just thought that was erroneous. But the truth is there's different types of lies. That doesn't mean that that lying's good. It's not. Theoretically, lying can be morally justified, maybe. You know? Everything's going to be all right, you say to your kid when his mother dies. Is it going to be all right? You might, in the back of your head, thinking it's not going to be all right. It's going to be tough. But is it moral to tell that kid, yeah, we're in a lot of trouble? Probably not. You know? I don't know. Those are ambiguous. That sort of lie clearly is in a different degree of like, no, I didn't steal your money when you stole someone's money. I think everyone who thinks about this for half a second could see that. And there's different severity of lies, right? There's a lie that you see in politics all the time. I had the best economy ever. Like, you hear politicians say this stuff all the time. Or they skew numbers, or they misrepresent numbers, or they exaggerate numbers. Those lies are common. I'm not saying that's good. There's a time and a place to say, yeah, wait a minute, that's not true. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people that want to fact check every single thing Trump says. And Trump says a lot of stuff that you're like, wait a minute, right? So, for example, Trump, I was watching this live, and I'm talking to my wife as the debate's going on, and Trump says, the majority of these illegals crossing the border come from mental health asylums or prisons. And I was like, really? That's a bold claim. Now, the gist of what he's saying, that's an exaggeration, and it's worth pointing out. There's no evidence of that. I have no problem with that. But the gist of what he's saying is, we don't know who these people are, and there's a lot of bad people. And that's true. He just exaggerates it, right? Biden has the biggest deficit. No, that's not true. It happened under Trump. Biden has what I believe is the second biggest deficit. However, Biden does have the biggest debt. So, yeah, technically, Trump didn't tell the truth there, or he misrepresented the facts, or he lied. But that's the same sort of stuff Biden was saying. Biden's saying stuff like, well, I'll get to that one. He's saying billionaires only pay a tax rate of 8%. That's not true. He basically alluded to the fact that unemployment was 15% when he came into office. It was 6%. When he's talking about, and he does this not just in the debate, but routinely, he talks about inflation, yeah, right? Inflation was at 9%. No, it was at like 1.9% when he came in. So these sorts of lies, and I'm not saying these are good lies, and it's worth pointing out when Biden, just like when Trump exaggerates or misstates figures, it's worth pointing that out. But these are things that I expect pretty much from every politician. Sometimes it's an outright lie. They know that they're misspeaking. Other times it's basically a lie by manipulating data, and they know they're manipulating it. Sometimes it's something they heard and they say thinking it's true, but it's not true. None of that's good. None of it's good. I would challenge you to find any presidential debate in my lifetime where either candidate didn't say something that was untrue along those lines. Maybe it's happened. I would be shocked. I would be shocked. And then there's also the problem of, because the stats can be manipulated in various ways, who determines what's the truth and what's not? There's a problem. Some other lies that Trump told, like every scholar agreed Roe v. Wade was terrible. That's not true. I don't even have to look into that to see that's not true, because there's at least one or two that didn't. So, yeah, okay. Those are lies Trump tells, like, it was the biggest crowd ever. No one respects women more than me. Yeah, it's not good to exaggerate like that. But it's not a huge deal. It really isn't. Now, look at the lies Biden told, just as many when it came to data figures like that. But look at the lies he told. In his very first response, he says, Trump didn't do anything against COVID except to tell people to inject bleach. That's a blatant lie. Now, this lie is worse for two reasons. One, because the implications of it. When you're saying that the leader of the country, the president of the United States, told people to inject poison intentionally, and you know that's a lie, what you're doing is more damaging than saying, actually, inflation was 2% when really it was 9%. Because it makes people distrusting of the president in a grotesque way. And the other reason that lie is worse is because it's easily disprovable. When you look at, like, regardless of what you think of this, talking about economic data, inflation, border crossings, all of this sort of stuff, it requires some amount of work to check into. It's just true, it does. You have to go to a data set, or you have to be able to trust the people that are compiling data, have to understand how it's compiled. When someone says, this guy in this speech said to inject bleach, all you have to do is go to the speech and see, did he say inject bleach? No, he didn't. He did not say to inject bleach. It's a lie. It just so happens that the lies like that Biden tells were repeated by the mainstream press that really just exists to take down Trump and to help prop up the establishment in the Democratic Party. So he gets away with that lie. And it becomes something that, because it's repeated so often, people end up believing, even though it's easy to see is not true. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you dozens of times on my channel, and the people that have followed me for a long time could verify this, dozens of people have came on and said, Trump said inject bleach, and after I dog walk them through the quotes for 20 minutes, they're like, well, he said that theoretically scientists were looking at whether or not injecting disinfectants could be helpful. Right. Same thing, not the same thing. I have no problem with the president saying, hey, I'm talking about potential medical breakthroughs that we could have with scientists. It would be bad if Trump said, I want you out there to inject bleach. That would be bad. But it doesn't matter. You show these people, that's not a lie according to them. He lied and said, Biden lied and said the Border Patrol supported him. Blatant lie. The Border Patrol Union came out afterwards and put a tweet out that had hundreds of thousands of likes. That was like, just to clarify, we have never and will never support Joe Biden or endorse Joe Biden. And anyone who remotely pays attention knows that the Border Patrol Union has been very vocal that they specifically blame Biden for the border crisis. Now, is it true that the Border Patrol said that the bill that was being suggested in Congress was one that they were in favor of? Yes. However, they also said they were more in favor of the Republican bill. But that's a far cry from, oh, the Border Patrol supported me. Blatant lie. Democrats don't care. That's far worse than Trump lying about inflation numbers. Easy to check. And then, of course, I forgot to include this in my TikTok video, maybe the most grotesque lie, though I would argue the second most. No soldiers have died under Biden's tenure. What are you talking about? Right out of the gate, I'm aware of the 13 soldiers that died in Afghanistan with his disastrous botched pullout because Joe Biden closed down a military airbase and then relied on the very Taliban that we were told we had to fight for 20 years to provide protection to our troops, which failed. But weirdly enough, Biden, who claims to be this big, I support the military, blah, 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 that blatant lie, which is a slap in the face to those servicemen and their families that died, weirdly enough, no one's calling out that grotesque lie. They say, no, Biden was truthful. And of course, the biggest lie of all, which if you followed my coverage, you would know that I was shocked that Biden himself brought it up because I thought Trump would bring it up. I've been saying this since 2020. The fact that Joe Biden claimed his reason for running for president was basically that Trump called Nazis good people is one of the most damaging lies in the history of this country. Designed to create racial division, which in part helped justify the race riots that we saw from Black Lives Matter that occurred all summer of 2020. Trump specifically said 3 times in 3 different speeches that he was condemning racism. In 2 of those speeches, by name, he called out groups like the KKK and Nazis. And yet, the mainstream media and Democratic Party, to this day, many of them, run with the false narrative that Trump said Nazis were good people. Joe Biden cites that as his reason for even running for office. A lie. The most damaging lie that either of them are accused of. And certainly an easily disprovable one. And yet Biden said it. And the Democrats would say, well, Biden was truthful. He was truthful and Trump wasn't. They ignore all of this. And in fact, you have people like Keith Olbermann and a bunch of celebrities are out there that are furious that CNN, I saw Dan Goldman talking to Anderson Cooper saying, next debate, we have to make sure that the moderators fact check Trump. What, not Biden? They don't have to fact check Biden? Just Trump, right? And I talked about this yesterday. That's what it's like to be a Democrat. I saw this quote from Thomas Sowell that said, when you're used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. Absolutely true. The Democrats are used to everything being stacked in the deck. The mainstream media being hugely supportive of the Democrats. Corporate America being hugely supportive. Social media, listening to the Democrats, doing what they want. The moderators always being people that are favorable to Democrats. And so to them, it's unfair to have an even playing field. They didn't say, hey, we want a moderator that fact checks both, and they would have fact checked a lot on Trump and a lot on Biden. They didn't say that. No, it's just unfair they didn't fact check Trump. Never mind the lies of Joe Biden. Never mind that. Just goes to show you what they don't care about fairness. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about any of that. They care about stacking the deck in as many ways as possible for them to win. If the Supreme Court's ruling in favor of Democrats, if they have Roe v. Wade, great. The Supreme Court's a trusted institution, and you can't be critical of judges. That's anti-American. That's anti-democracy to criticize these judges. As soon as the Supreme Court makes a decision they don't like, we need to pack the court. The court is biased. These justices are terrible. Remember when Chuck Schumer claimed that Kavanaugh had reaped the whirlwind? And then a bunch of people protested illegally outside of Kavanaugh's house, and no one did anything about it? And then there was an assassination attempt on Kavanaugh? Remember that? While at the same time they blamed Trump for his rhetoric? Remember? I remember. So anyways, you put up this post that talks about, like, look, all of these people that are saying, but Biden told the truth. No, he didn't. Here's a litany of reasons why. And when you see some of the responses, it's like, oh, but Trump lies all the time. All Trump does is lie. Oh, you're an uneducated, unkempt fat guy. They have nothing. They don't give a shit. Facts be damned. They don't care. They can't even keep their narrative straight. So when I went on Wick's panel afterwards, Wick was like, well, Trump didn't do that good. As bad as Biden was, he could have really spiked the ball. And I said, true. And there are things that I think Trump left on the table, which I was honest about. However, there is a question of whether or not Trump would have came off as too mean. Excuse me. If he would have really went after Biden, because Biden was as feeble as he was. Wick says, oh no. Then I see the very same people, and I was like, wait and see. I see people saying, well, Trump's still an a-hole. He came across as an a-hole and blah, blah, blah. He should have been more magnanimous. Dude, you just hate Trump. Just admit it. That's it. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like the establishment. If Donald Trump would have shit the bed as bad as Biden did in that debate, I would have said, this was horrific. He did terribly. Hell, I gave Trump a B- and criticized a lot of things he said. It's just gaslighting and cope is all it is. It's constantly what the Democrat... I mean, again, when you look at the lies that they tell, they're so blatant. That's what just blows my mind. But it's effective because when you lie about this blatant stuff with confidence and everyone on all these institutions back you up, it ends up becoming the official narrative. Trump said Nazis are good people. He didn't. Anyone could prove it almost immediately. Doesn't matter. That becomes the official narrative. Trump said to inject bleach. He didn't. But it's stuff that's even more ridiculous than that in many ways. This economy's doing fantastic. It's not. Biden's the greatest president in our lifetimes. Not even close to true. Obama was much better than Biden, and I hated Obama and thought he did terrible. Biden doesn't have cognitive decline. What are you talking about? They don't give a shit. They'll lie to you shamelessly. Not accepting the results of an election's anti-democratic. That's all they do. They still say Trump cheated in 2016. It's blatant. Now, you could criticize me in a litany of ways. You could say I talk too fast. I dish gallop. You could say that I'm biased. It's true, I am biased. You could say that I tend to make excuses for my side. Probably true to some extent. Show me where I'm blatantly lying, even anywhere close to what the average Democrat streamer, pundit, media personality, etc. does. Show me once where I've even been close. You can't. Because it hasn't happened. It would be the equivalent. Imagine if people were like, well, Trump's really crude. You know, he's a crude guy. And he's probably an adulterer. And me saying, I see no evidence of that whatsoever. I think Trump's the most polite man ever. I don't see any evidence that he's crude. People would rightfully go, Rob, what the hell are you talking about? That's blatantly and verifiably untrue. How are you going to blatantly lie about this? But that's what they did with Biden's